Well, welcome back, or welcome to FULGAZ on the Map, our Tuesday night special. We're here in our Sydney studios. There's coffee roasting in the background. It's going to give us a buzz as we roll out. Got a really cool guest tonight. And just once again, we are here, the MAP, the McGee Athlete Pathway. It's a holistic, all-inclusive way of achieving your best. There'll be training programs for sure, but equally there'll be learning. We'll go through our fundamentals, the physical, the technical, tactical, and of course, mental aspects of achieving your best. And on the subject of mental, we've got a pretty cool guest here tonight, a good friend of mine, Dave, Dr. David Spindler. I'm calling you Dave here. Yeah, that's great. Normally we're out in the forest up in Fitzroy Falls, side by side on gravel or mountain bike, having a good catch up. Really cherish those times, Dave.
Yeah, me too.
But for our guests that don't know you, imagine we're not good friends and we don't regularly go for rides and talk all things cycling and the rest. Imagine I'm a stranger in a bar. You've just pulled up. Stranger asks, "So, what do you do, Dave?"
Well, usually I say that's a complex question.
Okay.
So first of all, I'm a neuroscientist. I look at how your brain chemicals work with your central nervous system to produce athletic performance. That's that in a nutshell. But yeah,
There you go.
That's what I do.
That's normally when I just put the screws on a little bit out riding, just to catch up. Is that just goes through a few processes?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So Dave, we've had a really cool sort of journey, I guess, ourselves.
Yeah.
Goes way back.
Nice.
Where do you reckon it sort of kicks off?
So, funnily enough, I was speaking to my mother this morning, and she thinks it's 35 years.
Yeah, wow.
So, my family, a cycling family. I wasn't so much when I was a kid. Rode a little bit, raced a little bit when I was really young. Followed my brother around, Mark. And
so he'd be Andrew's age, I reckon.
Yeah,
my oldest brother.
Yeah, he's in between Andrew and Rocket.
There you go.
And Rod.
Yeah.
And I'm in between Rocket. I'm 1 year below Rocket.
Did you get any of my brothers?
So
I'm going to take these home tonight and tell them how
so,
Dave was saying they ripped your legs off.
No, absolutely not.
Andrew
Absolutely not. So I'd get through the underage stuff. I'd get Rod in my first year of everything.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
Rod, so,
all right.
And
you're looking pretty fit now. I reckon you could get one back on him. I know he's doing a bit, but not a lot. You can set that up.
Yeah, maybe. It might be my one and only time to beat Rodney McGee.
So you got some early cycling pedigree. Your old man's been a sort of lifelong rider.
Yep.
Tell us about your first riding experience. Can you remember? This is not racing now, just first riding experience.
I actually ran into I used to ride my bike to pick my brother up from preschool or school, and I was in preschool at the time. And my mum, I can remember it actually quite vividly, but I ran into the back of a car.
Right.
Head down, go for it. Just full gas, and just ran straight into the back of the car. And I can remember having a blood nose and my mum saying, "Hurry up, we need to get Mark from school."
I had no idea you were going to go there, Dave. Normally it's a very different story.
Yeah. But the first good memory was we used to live in Dubbo, in sort of western New South Wales for a while there, and my dad had a business out there and worked out there, and we did this one loop. I can't even remember where the loop was, but I remember my dad pushing me the last probably 40 minutes,
right?
And I was gone,
right?
Absolutely smashed, and I would have been probably 13 or 14 at the time, and but yeah, it's a really lasting memory of my dad and my brother and sort of us riding our bikes together. So, yeah.
Did you? I think you did say that was a good memory compared to crashing into the car, getting pushed home by the old man.
But it's more it's the environment around my dad.
Yeah.
To be totally honest with you, and now me living away from home quite a lot, I don't get to see my dad as much as what I'd like. And now those memories, the smaller memories, when it comes to your parents, and they're not as young as what they used to be. They're the ones that last with me forever.
That's really cool, Dave. Yep, really cool. Let's talk about you've had an amazing journey. You've been involved in different fields, and in particular, what you're doing now is amazing. But not many people would know, even the ones that know you, especially in the cycling game, that you've got some golf pedigree.
Yeah, I used to play a little bit when I was younger.
What do you like to share about your golf days?
So I played sort of golf competitively a lot when I was younger, and when my brother used to go and play go and race his bike all around Australia, or I'd go and play golf.
Yep.
And sort of did that very competitively for a while, and then went across to America and caddied for a long time. A lot of the older cyclists.
Well, let's park it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You say competitive for a little bit. How high did we go here?
Yeah, pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
You're good.
good. Yeah, I don't like to talk about it too much these days. It's kind of a chapter that's parked. But yeah, no, I did well.
And then into the caddying side of things, which is equally just mind blowing. How amazing that journey, and what it sort of contributed to where we've worked in different projects. How you develop others and manage others and help others to perform at their best.
Yeah. So that was about 10 years worth of my life.
Yeah, wow.
As a golf caddy on sort of the highest tours in the world. So traveled the world and did that, and to move along a little bit more, got some really massive mental health struggles at the time. I had bipolar disorder myself, sort of managed that, and through the help of like yourself at times, and Vaughan McGilly at times, and have a lot of really good close people around me that sort of have helped me out. So the Kirstens, another cycling family within New South Wales, but yeah, really struggled with that for a really significant portion of my life, and which kind of led to me doing undergraduate psychology and trying to figure out a little bit about myself. And the more I learned, the less I knew about myself, which then rolled into a lot of other things as well. Yeah. So,
and you haven't given up in that department. Your academic
career.
On
myself.
And we're all benefiting from that journey, David. Yeah, and the fact that you can share so openly your vulnerability, that's that strength.
Yeah,
that's that power. It is a superpower. You flipped it on its head.
Yeah.
It's driven you to get that, all those degrees in your PhD, etc. Be immersed in that research world, and you're applying it.
Yes.
That's the cool thing.
It took me a long time to realize that was the strength, though.
Yeah.
And everyone has their own sort of personal journey when it comes to the mental health stuff. But once you do understand that it is you, it's not a weakness.
Yep.
There are really bad parts of it, but when you can, like, this is me. I am this person, and people like me for who I am, and they don't need to know that I have bipolar disorder, or they don't need to know I've had mental health struggles, but they like me for me. If they do that now, imagine what it'd be like if they already know my struggles and what I've gone through, and that sort of heightens that once then. Like, my work now with athletes is they understand that I've had a struggle as well, which then helps them move forward. So you're not just talking to somebody that that is like books only. And I dislike that analogy, because sports psychology practitioners are unbelievable at what they do. And I believe every single athlete should have support around them, whether it's sort of mental health practitioner or sports psychologist or organizational psychologist. They should have, but they don't.
There's some gaps there, isn't there? Even today, and it can take many shapes. That role, back in my cycling days, it could have been a soigneur or a mechanic, that just had that rapport. And it goes back to that relationship and rapport. That's willingness to share. This is again your superpower. You're sharing it, and people, I've seen it time and time again. They honestly get to know you because you share who you are, and that builds that rapport and that relationship. Yeah,
I'm a bit of an oversharer at times, but I think that has a little bit to do with what I have and how I've gone through it. But
So, Mental Wheels Foundation.
Yes.
Board member?
I am.
Tell us a little bit about that, and why it's important to you, and what the cool stuff's going on there.
Well, given my background, as I've just spoken about, mental health is huge in my life, and it's huge in my family's life. Not just me. So there's other people in my immediate family that struggle. And what the Mental Wheels Foundation does is fund research and fund clinical trials and all the stuff that I love. As a scientist myself, I'm a neuroscientist. The technical thing of what I do, and funding science and funding trials that help people and will help people over and over and over and over again, which is what science does.
Yeah.
It's really fundamental what Mental Wheels Foundation does, and that's done through their association with Macquarie University.
That's right.
I'm not associated with Macquarie. I'm at Maastricht University and I have a research fellowship at Loughborough in the UK. But through Macquarie Uni, they have a thing called MindSpot, and they have a website that anybody can go onto and have a bit of a look around. And I really do encourage people to jump on that MindSpot website and have a look around.
That's the cool thing, and that's, I can see the alignment. There's things you can do now.
Yes.
Applications.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and everyone can look to empower themselves.
Yeah.
They don't have to have mental health struggles themselves, but I guarantee you they know someone that does.
And that's something an old saying we'd have in the pro peloton, team meetings. There's a lot of athletes out there that want to help. They want to be that domestique, but we often say you've got to help yourself first, before, and then you'll be able to really help someone.
Yeah.
And that's for these sort of things. It's not just for those that may be struggling. It's for anyone just to build some skills and get a little bit better.
And in our relationship, you do that really well for me.
On the bike, shoulder to shoulder.
Well, it's more.
Really?
It's more. You're doing way too much. What are you doing for yourself?
Yeah.
Like you say that to me more often than anyone else that I have any dealings with, and most of the time it's really good reason too, because we know each other well enough. You can see it in my face, or you can see it in my mannerisms. It's like, well, no, Dave just needs to pop the brakes a fraction. And it's really like I value that input. So
are we going to go there now?
If you like.
Yeah. What are you up to, Dave?
in my way.
Well, I know this year's been amazing here.
Maybe
Maybe just touch on. I know some of these things are, not to be completely shared, but can you just touch on some of the variety of environments, training environments, competition environments that you're exposed to and having impact on?
So I work with endurance sports a lot, and have for the last 10 years or so. So January started off with Sierra Nevada in Spain, in training camps, altitude camps. Went through into some racing, cycling racing. So did all the classics. Then went across to Girona in Spain to do some work with triathletes, long distance and Olympic distance triathletes. And what did I do after that? So combat sports as
That's
well.
Right.
So so I worked with one of the really high, one of the highest profile boxers in the world, and that's a different environment that I sort of worked towards, and so I was over in England for quite a significant period of time of this year, and then sort of flew in and out of cycling at the time, went Tour de France, Giro, and then sort of
I'm going to say.
What's that?
It seems like you've got a lot on, Dave.
Yeah, I need to pop the brakes a fraction. So I haven't, like I said, I
always tell, because it's been a while since we've had that ride up in my joint.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like the litmus test for me.
It is. So
you can do whatever you want as long as we get that sort of monthly ride in. They'll tell me you're going okay.
That is true. Yeah. So my children didn't see me for 5.5 months this year, and they do deserve better. But and that will happen over time. But at the moment we had a really important period of work. When it came to my science plus my sort of individual athletes and work, and my business did really well. But I do need to pump the brakes a fraction, and hopefully that's November, December.
Beauty. Well, I look forward to it. I better get some form. The one thing you did fail to mention, we've got a bit of an inside scoop, is that your ability. Yeah, Vaughnie's onto that one. You failed to mention your athletic prowess once you throw on a pair of running shoes.
Well, I don't know if I've got that.
Have you got some stats? What's the stat in running? Is it all about how fast you do a kilometre in or something? I'm really out of touch here.
So I do.
What's your 1 kilometre split? Is that it?
Yeah, but
I need some help here. Anyone?
I don't really sort of that 1K thing. I don't do too much. I do my 1K repeats. Not really fast, but I'm 48 these days.
That's good.
No, so I'm 3:48 for my 8x1K.
Okay, so I'm just trying to read you. Is that good?
For me, yes. Yeah, but the best part about athletics, any athletic endeavor, it's all relative. Like trying to compare myself, even when I ride a bike, to Tadej Pogacar's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, and me working with some Olympic level marathon runners too. Me trying to compare myself with Hewlett is also ridiculous. So,
well, something's working, Dave. Every time I see you, mate, like you're shredded, you're lean, you're ready to
definitely
go.
Not that. Yeah.
Beauty. So before we go to the break, a couple of things I want to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
The World Championships are happening very soon in your neck of the woods.
Yeah,
like, I say it's sort of my locale, but it's really your locale. Yeah. So we want to touch on that. And then we just want to talk about what we'll dig into after the break. So let's go there. The World Championships. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going on right now? You think you've worked with many athletes. You've probably got some athletes going. You don't need to mention names. What's going on right now? What's the prep like? We're literally in the last week to 10 days before game time for a lot of these athletes. What's going on for these athletes, the teams? How are they getting that final preparation right?
So the team environment portion changes when it comes to World Championships, as you know. So they go from whatever's on their T-shirt to national body. Yep. So that changes the dynamic quite a lot. Preparation will be just for the TT. As an example. Yep. They'll be
big fan of TT, so go there.
We've done a lot of work on that at one period of time. They'll be doing their final preparations, their final big block of training,
right?
Coming into that World's TT, and then that's me personally, I've given athletes protocols into how to travel and what time zone.
Because it is a big travel impact.
Yes.
The other side of the planet. Literally.
Yeah. So the majority of them have either been to the Vuelta, or they've done either preparation at either Sierra Nevada, Font Romeu, somewhere like that. So an altitude block.
Still using altitude for the TT. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've always had some mixed feelings about that one. Yeah, so maybe for another podcast we could dig in there.
So that is always just I'll sleep high and then I'll go down into
do their power work down.
Yeah, and then do the power work down. And then go back up and sleep. But yeah, so that they'll be finishing that, and then my protocol stuff, give them a protocol to be able to travel and the time zone changes to be able to hit there, to be as alert and as ready as they can possibly be, so their central nervous system's ready to fire when we want it to fire.
Well, that's touching on what we're going to dig into after the break. And it's great we got you in here. As we know, we've got the segments. Mental aspect is huge. We've got a specialist here in Dave, so we're going to dig into self-awareness and race day delivery. Whether it be a key training session or a major event or a competition, how do you get it right on the day? And before we go there, self-awareness. And I think the two sometimes closely align. So before we do break for the short pause here, just a little shout out to our friends down in southern Tasmania, Pure Mist Gin. Now we've got a little competition for us in the week ahead before next Tuesday. If you share or like this podcast on your socials, you go into the draw to receive a bottle of Pure Mist Gin. Now, Vaughnie tells me it is the best. I believe him. Look at this. It's literally made from the mist in the forest of southern Tasmania. That's the water source. And they go ahead and distill it with local botanicals. So
what you're trying to tell me is I should start drinking again.
Not at all, Dave. No, you and I, we've had this one out many times. So you do you, and I'll do me. If that means I need to sample for you, then we're all the merrier. But look out for that one. So share or like, and then go into the draw for a bottle of Pure Mist Gin. We're going to cut for a break, and we'll be back shortly talking self-awareness and race day delivery with the expert.
Sit-Up Challenge, brought to you by the Mental Wheels Foundation and Fit State of Mind. We've teamed up and come up with this great initiative to get you involved, whether you're at school, at work, or at home. 66 sit-ups every day for 21 consecutive days. Why 66? Every 6 minutes, someone attempts suicide. So we want to help bring that number down. We want to get the conversation started and we want to get movement going. Movement equals medicine. So, take on this challenge solo, join a team, or even start a team. There's a little sweetener too. Sign up 10 people and you go to a draw to win a Fiji holiday. So, guys, what are you waiting for? Let's get the movement going, let's get into the team, let's get those 66 sit-ups out. Any questions, hit us up. We look forward to supporting you through this great course.
Back. Well, welcome back. FULGAZ on the Map. We're here with Dr. Dave Spindler, expert in the field of psychology, performance psychology, all-round good guy, training partner at large. Dave, we're about to dive into self-awareness and race day delivery, but a shout out from on our socials here. We've had one of our Map Vanguard, good friend of ours here at the Map, Andrew Logan. He's connected, and we're just touching on the subject of what you were talking about with the Mental Wheels Foundation and the connection with Macquarie Uni and MindSpot.
Yep.
So maybe just a little bit more detail around that, unpacking that a little bit further.
So Macquarie Uni sort of has an aspect of their clinical trials called MindSpot. I'm actually not quite sure at the moment. I think it's mindspot.com.au.org. Sorry, anybody can access that facility. So I really encourage you to go on and have a really good look around at what MindSpot does and what it is. There's some brilliant pieces of advice that are there, and anybody can. It's an amazing resource and it's free.
There you go, and that aligns with what Logs was saying. He's used it and finds it really effective and highly recommends it. So jump on board. Great segue. Self-awareness.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the expert in the room. Can you define it? Is there a definition out there? What is it in your space, and what does it mean to you?
So what it actually is an individual's ability to understand their thoughts, behaviours and actions and how they impact on themselves and others.
Right.
Literally, they're defined.
Yeah. When I think about that, listening to it, we're talking a little bit earlier, I think back to my journey as an athlete come coach.
Yep.
And it's probably the same now. I'm a coach developer, and you look back. So when I became a coach, you reflect back on how I was presenting myself and how in a team environment as an athlete, and you just shake your head. How uncoachable was I, and I've got an example from the Tour de France 2005. It was actually my last Tour de France as an athlete, and things were going well for a week, unraveled for a few days, and I really suffered for best part of 10 days.
And how did that impact yourself?
Oh,
but also how did that
creeping.
Impact others?
Yeah, but that's exactly it. So I can recall key conversations I was having with sports directors. They're pulling me aside and trying to, have those tough conversations, which as a coach, you do a lot of training to be able to have. And they were doing their best, but they just weren't getting through. I was closed. I was removed. I wouldn't say it's everyone else's problem, but I wasn't recognizing that I was the issue and I was having a negative impact on my team and teammates.
So a general lack of self-awareness.
I believe so, yeah. That's when you talk about that definition, that's where my mind went to. And it's almost embarrassing. It's
also, there's a high stress, under a high stress environment,
right.
It's really easy to do. That cortisol, which is the chemical which is stress pretty much, does really wondrous and weird things to the brain.
Right.
And one of them is it just nails your self-awareness because you become really insular.
So I like have the blinkers on.
Yeah, you almost vortex yourself into your own little thought bubble.
There you go.
And the Tour de France to start with is, as you know, is a bubble within the bubble.
Yeah.
So it's a really highly and compacted, stressful environment.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't beat yourself up over that. You know, it is what it is.
Well,
And-
look, I mean, part of the coaching practice is is high levels of reflection and the ability to reflect. So those sort of things do stand out.
Yeah.
You know, I do my best now to use that. So when I'm working with an athlete, to recognize, hey, they're potentially in that space.
Into that space.
So let's just go a little bit easy here and put a bit more emphasis around the where and when and who with those conversations.
Yeah. But also, athletes, when it comes to this environment, is a very foreign environment until you get to 8, 9, 10 years pro.
Yeah.
so you get everything's is so compacted, and a lot of teams that I've had involvement in and I've seen and we've worked on it since is they don't put a lot of impact on that. It's like there may be a 24-year-old athlete that's leading the Tour de France, but he's 24. Like he's still really young, and he's only been a pro for 3 years.
Yeah.
Or he's only been or he's leading the mountains jersey, and he's all of the stresses that are around that. And then they're going, well, he's now a prima donna. Well, he's not. He's just not coping. He's not coping with his own thoughts, behaviours, and actions, and he has no awareness whatsoever of how that's impacting others. So
let's go there. How does that work in your field? You know, we're talking high performance, top end. Can you give any examples or any methods that you use to essentially enable and support an athlete or a person in a high performance environment, just to become a little bit more self-aware, or how do you start this process?
So most of all, if they have showed some awareness to start with, and they're showing a lack of it now,
right?
Why is that happening in the first place? So most of the time it's high stress, high levels of cortisol in the brain.
Right. Okay. So attend to that first.
Attend to that
right.
portion first.
Gotcha.
Because they already have the skill set to have self-awareness. So how we then remove, or what is causing the lack of self-awareness needs to be attended to first. Then from there you can go, given this environment that you're in, this is the reason why you're thinking this way, behaving this way, and acting this way. So remove that, create some fun. Have a stupid thing called rad covery.
Right.
So just do something that's awesome, like just in your time out.
Yeah, I like that.
Just do something that's rad. And that's my old terminology, pretty much. But it's recovery for your brain.
Yeah.
So just do something,
Yeah.
and then remove that cortisol level fractionally, and then we can have a conversation about if we're in that same situation next time. What are your triggers? What are the triggers to others at the same time, and then how we move forward from that.
I'm kind of laughing here. And this is not about me, but if I could share one where my mind goes to now. No. So the radness in another Grand Tour where things actually went pretty good was a good teammate of mine, Matt Wilson. Shout out to Matty, legend. Back in FDJ days, and I'm running like top 10 in the Giro. So you imagine the stress is pretty high. But we had this amazing ability to do exactly that. So our night time protocol was always the same, and it was like we exited that stressful bubble and went into this happy place. And essentially, we watched the whole series of Sex and the City, throughout the whole Giro. I mean, it was something you'd never do in any. But for us at that time, that was that little bubble, that safety space. Yeah. That was our pre-sleep, thing. Yeah. And then you'd sleep well, wake up every day. It was like day one. Yeah, it was gold.
Yeah, but you remove that cortisol.
Yeah.
We also created a protocol for sleep as well. But people don't.
There you go.
People don't put a lot of priority on sleep, and mental health is really highly correlated to the amount of sleep.
Oh, here we go. It is definitely a fundamental for us here at the map, and we'll dig in on that one. Before we go on to race day delivery, I think we've got another question from Logs. I'm going to read this one, Vorney.
Can pro athletes overtrain to the point of causing high anxiety, which causes doubt in their ability? So I'll read that again. Can pro athletes overtrain to the point of causing high anxiety, which causes doubt in their ability?
So overtraining in general causes low cortisol from here down.
Right.
Because what it does is your body tends to shut down because you've overtrained, but it causes high cortisol in your brain. And they're kind of counterintuitive. And from that, if you have any predisposition to an anxiety or an anxietal type of functioning, that will heighten that.
Right.
So from that, so Andrew, yes, the answer to that question is yes, 100%. It does. And the last part of that question was...
well, essentially that was, can it lead to essentially
doubt?
Doubt,
100%.
loss of confidence. Yeah.
Because not only are you highly anxious, you're overtrained, so you're not hitting the whatever numbers that you're supposed to be hitting, which then causes the doubt as, can I do this tomorrow? Can I do that the next day? Well, I've got this massive block of training or whatever that training is. There's no way that I can do that because I'm already overtrained. I feel this way.
Yeah.
So the answer, 100% yes.
On the subject of overtraining, we know in the Tour de France, you come out of the Tour de France with 2 legs, and if guided well, they can power you for the rest of the season. There is something amazing about those Grand Tours. We know with young athletes, once they get a few Grand Tours in their legs, they're a different athlete. They're a different beast. And I draw it back to overtraining is, you can recover and come out better in the Tour de France. Why? Because you dedicate every minute that's not racing your bike to recovery.
Yeah.
So overtraining, I would more likely define it as a lack of recovery.
Yeah. So I 100%.
So we all want to train and go hard, but are we going to dedicate the time and methods needed to recover equally as hard?
And trying to train like a professional athlete when you're not a professional athlete is fraught with danger as a result of that too. Because that recovery portion like we're talking about, it's like if you see someone who's recently retired, Richie Paul, Richie will do 25 to 35 hours on the bike. You do that and you have to go and you're a lawyer or a bricklayer or whatever.
Anything other than being a professional athlete.
What do you think he does in between? He's on the couch, he's playing with he's at home with his children or up somewhere in altitude.
That's right.
Recovery. And you just can't do that if you're not. So you need to reduce the amount of load, overall load that you're having. So again, it's a holistic thing. Like you need to look at what you can do individually and then go from there.
Really cool.
Yeah,
really cool. So before we move off self-awareness, what could this look like on the map? What can we do here to help our clients, our members, to either create or be better at self-awareness and turn it into their super strength?
So we will actually give them tools. There will be a tool set there. So both of us are working really closely on that and on how to deliver the deliverables.
Awesome.
What are the things that you need to worry about and concern yourself about, maybe not worry, and then what are the things that you control the controllables pretty much. And then how does that impact yourself and others if you're in a team, or others if you have a partner, or if you have children, or if you like all of that things need to be brought in, and that self-awareness portion will all be brought out within that sort of map structure. Yeah,
brilliant. Looking forward to that. Even for us retired athletes wanting to be at our best, those protocols and those activities can be really helpful. I look forward to it as well. Refresher for me, if you like. That's going to be really cool, Dave. So shall we move on to race day delivery? Yep, getting it right on the day.
Yes.
Now, for those that may not be aware, we did work quite extensively on a few campaigns between Rio and Tokyo there, World Championships. We also worked a lot at the New South Wales Institute of Sport with younger athletes. I can recall finishing, I'm the coach and whistling and calling athletes around the velodrome, but no, they're inside in the middle of the velodrome with a pen and paper doing what was the find the letter.
That's a concentration task.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all these activities.
Yeah,
and it just brought a whole new element to these young athletes' journey, and for me as a coach as well. Just thinking outside the square and realizing you can do more in these space. What does that look like when we talk about race day delivery for you now? What when I say that race day delivery for you, where you are now, you're thinking about your whole journey, the golfer, the caddy, the quick runner. We didn't quite define how quick, but a quick runner. You work with combat sports and endurance sports, triathlon, cycling, you name it, and you've got your academic career. When you say race day delivery today, what comes to mind?
Protocols produce performances.
Protocols produce performances.
Yeah,
We need the whiteboard.
Yeah.
We've not got that written down somewhere.
The more that you can remove the variables away from what that performance is, race day performance.
Yep.
So you remove the variables that'll make that not happen. The more high the chance you have to be able to produce, let your body produce what you've been trained for it to produce.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So it's like get out of your own way.
Exactly.
Stop. Let the brakes go.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So how you get to the start line and control the breath or control the heart rate or to control the thought process to be able to produce that performance. It's not just on the line you need to do that. There's the hour beforehand. There's the 5 hours beforehand when it comes to the fueling portion and the race day preparation to actually get to the start line. There's the day before.
That's right.
There's all these little markers of how you can get to race day to make race day actually fairly. It should be simple.
Well, that's where we eventually got to working with Rowan and the TT. We called it a script. In the car delivery for the time trial, but there was also a script for me. We worked on this. The key words that I would use as coach to Rowan in particular on that race day.
Yes.
But then that you could extend that out to the day before, as soon as you connect really on the ground in that race environment.
Yeah, so
it's game on.
That was actually a really cool project, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was one of the most one of the fun projects when it comes to an individual that I've been involved with. Mainly because I was working with some really good people and Neil Henderson and yourself.
Oh, Neil, what a legend! What a trifecta that was.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was a really good time. A lot of learnings for us all there.
Totally. Yeah.
But I like it. So you're still in that space. Protocols produce performance. So essentially what we're doing there is
And that, I think that may be a little bit of my ADHD as well. Like I have to write things down as well. But I'm not diagnosed with that.
Okay.
but I have tendencies. But if you can remove all of the stresses when it comes to an athletic performance, then it's the reason why you train. Yeah. So from my side, the psychological aspect or the mind space aspect will give you a really big portion if you've done the physiological portion well to start with. If you've done the 99, so that everyone's worried about the 1%ers. They forget about the 99. So do that 99% correctly, and the mindset portion can be or everything. It can change the course of action for that performance. But if you don't do the 99% right to start with, the stuff that I do is such a minute, it's a 0.001%. So again, the holistic portion needs to be really emphasised here when it comes to this race day stuff. So you can,
it's powerful stuff, but it's not a get out of jail free card. It's not an easy way. It's not a.
You have to have the physiology to start with.
There you go. Let's build the engines, and then we'll get the ticket right to deliver on the day. And it just, like you said, it makes it more pleasurable. The experience, because you've actually got the space to enjoy it.
But also, there's space to breathe too. Like if someone's so revved up about where's my shoes or where's my, where's my garment? Like, where was it? Where was that World Championships we were at where G forgot his garment or let him put his garment on? Actually, no, that was Burt Lancaster.
Yeah.
That was Imola that
Right.
year.
Oh,
So-
yes. Yep.
And it didn't ruin G's performance, literally because he was calm and controlled, and he delivered on his deliverables, and actually did really well. I think he got second or third in that TT. It was the first one that Pipo Gano won.
Right.
But he didn't let that one setback, which is a massive setback. He doesn't have any
no
feedback, no data, which
Old
is
school.
he trained with that the whole time. He still produced that performance because he knew the physiology was there and he knew that the protocols produced the performance.
Yeah, brilliant. So again, what could this look like for us here on the map? How can we go about, learning and educating and building that knowledge on how to create our own protocols for our events?
The best part here is it's totally individualistic, and everyone's grown up differently. Everyone had different experiences, so they can bring different aspects of that learned experience into their own personal protocol. On the map, there'll be like a map of what you can do and how you do it to create your own protocols, different periods of time, and we will guide you through how to produce that and to hit the protocols and hit the targets that you need to hit.
Brilliant.
So
something I like to do was write my day sheet out and just give it to everyone. And I'm sure some people were receiving it thinking, is it really for me?
Yeah.
And then little simple things, like at a time trial in this professional race scenario, you put everyone's protocol on the side of the bus. So everyone in that performance environment is aware of what the steps are, what the time frame is. Even to come down to, when can I have that casual conversation with an athlete? Well, he's got an hour between pre-start and the first warm-up. Yeah, maybe there's a time there, but don't start a conversation 5 minutes before they get on for the final warm-up or something like that.
But you even see it in races too. Like you have a look at some teams during the Tour de France, and they'll be on that in the ear, yelling and screaming at an athlete, and all they want to do is be able to just calm themselves down and be able to control their performance. But they've got some.
Well, this is the thing. Working with young athletes now, I encourage them to have write their own script and give it to their sports director, basically saying, you write your own script, you control it, and you flip this on its head. Because in the sport today, it's still, culturally, it's the director will tell the athlete what to do. We've got to turn that around. And it comes down that protocol, that script that's written down. Here, this is what I need in my ear.
And the best athletes in the world now, like some of the ones that I work with, actually have that. They've told their sports director, do not do this. If you do this, I will flick the earpiece. And if I do that, you've lost.
And look, we can sit here and look all high and mighty like we're the best in the business. And I like to think we've got a long way. We've created a technique here or a package or a method which is world class, if not world's best. But it came from my personal journey, stuffing it right up.
Well, me too, to be honest.
And I think of some of the poor athletes that I just got it wrong with, and you work hard to make amends, but it's those highly impactful, misdemeanors, I guess, or getting it wrong, stuffing it up. They drive you.
Part of the thing, though, isn't it? Like you can't always be a positive. Like everyone says, it needs to be. You need a positive psychology. You need positive this, positive that. But you need the negatives to be able to go. Okay, I'm reflecting on that and moving forward. So the negative portions of whatever you do are as important, if not more important, than the positive portions. Because how you reflect on those is the key, and it's the king as well. So,
it's not losing; it's learning.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So we've talked about self-awareness and also getting it right on the day. And both you feel that on the map, we'll be able to go through some protocols. Our members will be able to basically create their own protocols that work for them. It's going to be really cool. And not forgetting that these things will grow and evolve and change over time as we change. That's the real cool bit.
I agree with you. I think it's the fun. It's the most fun part of my job of what I do is getting to know an athlete, to be able to get them to produce the protocols and then when they win, it's like it's really it's an emotional thing for me, really. And you've seen me cry more than once. I'm an athlete.
You don't share so much who you work with, but I can tell, I can sort of put two and two together.
Yeah.
When there's a win and then there's that little bit of emotion coming from Dave just quietly. I'm like, hang on a minute. Something going on there. That's pretty cool, Dave.
Yeah.
Talking about awesome athletes, let's look ahead to next week. And another one of our amazing performance team coaches, Michelle Ferris.
Yes.
Who's come on board here at the MAP as our sprint, power, strength expert coach. You know Michelle. We know her pedigree at the Olympics, multiple medalists in the track sprint. So there's a really cool journey there that Michelle's been on as an athlete and now as a coach. And so we're looking forward to digging in there next week. Maybe that's something we can have a chat about through the week. In particular, because I know you didn't really elaborate on, but that whole performance team aspect, bringing a performance team together is something we know here at the MAP will be leaning on an expert in the field there. So look out for that next week with Michelle. David, it's just been my pleasure. We might not be side to side on the gravel roads behind Fitzroy Falls, but that is coming, I hope.
I'll be on my CX bike, not a gravel bike.
Always love these conversations, mate. Again, your superpower and your openness to share and be vulnerable is just something that's inspirational. So I appreciate our friendship, mate. And
so do I. Yeah. So you know that as like I've leaned on you quite a lot in my life, and our friendship is something that I value even when I'm away so much. But yeah, thank you so much for this, and let's help everyone else the same way as we help each other.
There you go. Well, there we are. That's FULGAZ on the MAP for our Tuesday special. Look out for Michelle Ferris next week. Send out any comments or feedback on your socials, and don't forget the competition for the bottle of gin. Thank you very much. Brad McGee signing out. See you next week.